Well, good morning. David Harper is going to join me here up on stage. But one of the things that I wanted to share this morning before we unpack this conversation is my wife Shannon and I have been married for 33 years this last August. And one of the cadences in our marriage, which many marriages have, is if I make a statement or a comment or I call her or I come home and I say, "Hey, babe, I was thinking." And she'll say, "Where are we going and what are we doing and who with?" And I think that as a collective group here on mission, that's what this conversation is all about, is where are we going, what are we doing, and who with? We know the urgency and the opportunity that's before us. David, you're certainly passionate about where we're at. This morning in this conversation, we want to unpack where are we going. We know it's with who with, but there's still some other people out there and across the country that have yet to be connected to what it is that we're doing. And then we're going to just take a couple of minutes and unpack what I shared on Sunday, which is what is the capital needed? As business owners and influencers in the business space, you know that it takes capital and cash flow to achieve what it is that we're running at. And so we're going to unpack that a little bit with you this morning. But David, you've been a part of FCCI for quite some time. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, it was, is it on? Yeah, there we go. 2 years ago, during COVID, I remember sitting in the room the first time, and it just seemed like the Lord was just really impressing upon my heart that this was a unique opportunity, that of entrepreneurs get things done, kingdom-minded, seeking the kingdom first, but being in fellowship where we really are friends for life. That's just a very powerful combination. And I started thinking, I want to be a part of this. Who else do we know that needs to be a part of this? How do we spread that and make that happen?
I'm going to put this right on the table because it was mentioned. We're looking for about 100 individuals that would want to be very strategic in advancing FCCI today moving forward. David, you've committed to be a builder.
Right.
And a builder is somebody that's committing to be a part of this mission. Call it a range between $10,000 and $50,000 on an annual basis to advance this work.
Yeah.
But it's not about the capital and it's not about the money. It's about what we can achieve and accomplish together.
Right.
Share with us a little bit about why this is so important to you.
Well, we have sensed that God is raising up people in different regions of the country, like Greenville, Raleigh, Birmingham, Jacksonville, Denver, San Diego. And you know, we just had this great curated event in Atlanta. It was a smaller group of people. That was just fantastic being together like that. And so it seems like to me that a part of our kingdom alignment is also stewardship. And so if we had just 100 companies, I'll use a number like 20,000, that would be $2 million a year. Well, if that gets just baked into our giving budgets, we give to other things too. But if we just did that, that would lay a foundation that then we could grow from there. So that's what I see happening. I see God is raising up people in these different geographic areas, and they're going to say, we're taking this city for the kingdom. We're going to seek the kingdom together and see what God does among us. And it's kind of like what we've been thinking about with Richard Lackaby and experiencing God. Let's see where God is working, and let's join him in that process and see who God's going to raise up, and let's lock arms together and see what we can do.
As Bobby mentioned on Sunday evening when we were up here together, the vision is to connect with and to do life with 10,000 business leaders across the country. Now, certainly within the current network, there are not 10,000 business leaders in the network, so we've got some room to grow. But let me unpack the lanes, because I want to make sure that, as I mentioned the other night, being clear and concise on who we are, what we do, and why. Here are the lanes. We have the annual conference. And I think that you're all connected. You're having an incredible time together. It's great fellowship, great teaching from the stage. But one of the lanes is the annual conference. Another lane is the journey groups, to be connected, be in a journey group. But David, you mentioned a couple of other lanes that I just want to put on the table to you. The curated event. 4 to 6 times per year. We did one in Atlanta, Chad and I and a number of others. Jimmy Blanchard was there. We had Henry Cloud, Andrew Cathy. It was a phenomenal 36 hours. We have another one coming up in November, and then after the first of the year, we'll have some more. What was the value in the curated event to you?
Well, it was just a great time to just have a lot of good informal time, and it was small enough where you could kind of rub shoulders with everybody in the room, and you had plenty of time just to, hang out and just have these conversations that were so powerful. And I had a chance to ride with Jimmy Blanchard, and our foursome. We had a great time together, and just that time together was, you talk about divine appointment. I just felt like these are the series of divine appointments happened that kind of really form you and make a difference forever. I think what I sense that's really happening right now is that the Spirit of God is working on us to have a greater level of ownership of the ministry, more of an ownership mentality. The difference between a hireling and the owner. The hireling, when tough times come, the hireling runs away. But the owner of the sheep, he's willing to give his life up for the sheep. So I think God is doing that in our hearts and minds. And so I see that happening all over the country. And isn't that going to be a great thing? Because it can't just happen with, the board. Everybody's got to share that load.
Another lane that we've begun the process doing a little bit more intentionally this last calendar year will continue is what we're calling pop-up events. Portland held a gathering this week, Albuquerque just a couple of weeks ago. Steve Campbell and I are working on something to happen in Raleigh and Durham. In Atlanta, Bobby Mitchell and Chad, we hosted a group of about 20 guys just to do sporting clay and have a good time of fellowship, but then have a message over lunch. We're wanting to see this play out more and more and more times all across the country, as you mentioned. Yeah. That's how we're going to be able to do life and to connect with more numbers of individuals, men and women, business owners and leaders all across the country.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty exciting.
Well, the last thing I want to say, I think, is friendship is a high calling. Jesus said, I no longer call you servants, but I call you friends. That's a high calling. And so for us to have really friendships that are life-giving, that's the fellowship is kind of what is the secret sauce that makes all this happen. Because in friendship, then being on mission together, man, that's life.
One other lane, Chad Merrill was up yesterday with some younger entrepreneurs, the next generation. Certainly, we've heard a theme yesterday as it relates to contending for this next generation. But it's not just contending for, but it's to doing life with, to be available to the younger employees in our businesses, but then also to create environments where the younger business executive will come together, where more seasoned professionals can come and be a part of that. So what's been launched in Atlanta that we want to see roll out across the country is what we're calling a venue event. Whether it be a brewery or a restaurant or some safe environment where somebody can share and to speak into the lives of those that are in the room, but then to see organic, authentic relationships establish. And I think that's a phenomenal opportunity as we play forward what we can do together as a community.
And I also think that, just what we do on mission together as friends, that will also impact our own businesses. Over there at the table over there's our team, and God brought Doug Hurley onto our team recently. Back in '97, it was just Mark and me and one other person, and then Russ came on board. So we've kind of seen the impact of friendship, authentic relationship, seeking the kingdom first, how that creates that collaboration. And I love that idea of collaboration. I think that's how it's going to happen for us.
As we wrap up our time here this morning, I shared on Sunday the art of the ask. In my opinion, the art of the ask is being clear and concise on who we are, what we do, and why we're doing it. I believe that you've gotten that sense. You've been living it out. Now you know where we're going. But intentionally on Sunday, I left something out, which is to share with you this morning. It's to lean in and to say, I'm in. What do you need? Well, if you're in, what we've shared is that between now and the end of the year, we're looking for $1.7 million to advance and to accelerate this mission. We're looking for 30 builders or more that can commit to $10,000 to $50,000 to help us advance in fuel. That's the cash flow piece. So we want to make sure that as we are on mission, that we don't have to think about the resources because the opportunity is great. And let me share something to pick up on something that Robin shared. When God is in it, I'm never surprised and always amazed. What we need to do is our best and let God do the rest.
Amen.
Thank you. David,
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you.